Once I've determined the fold plunge, I can then model the bedding form surfaces, and I did this by digitizing the traces of the bedding using the horizontal gradient image, and also by interpreting tangential planes to the bedding that you see in the drilling data. So for example, right here you can see the traces of bedding here, and by rotating it you can sort of align yourself looking in the plane, and then you can start digitizing the bedding. And then you can interpolate and create these form surfaces, and you can see that I'm looking towards down the plunge line, which is 44.2081. And in this case we have the TUF unit in green and felsic unit, felsic volcanics, in the orange. Felsic volcanics and TUFs. Now I can turn on the S2 foliation form surfaces, and since I'm using a constant direction for this, 77 degrees towards 004, they are constantly dipping parallel to each other. And there is another lithology I'd like to show. These are the lake diorite plugs that are on the Lamaque side. And they are aligned parallel to the S2, as you can see here. So they have intruded parallel to the S2 foliation in this area in the Lamaque. Now I'd like to show you the grade distribution relative to this first order structural control of the bedding and the S2 schistosity. Now we are looking down plunge again, and I'm going to slice down plunge, and I'll come up again. As you can see on the Lamaque deposit, the trace of this high grade is parallel to S2. But if you look at other areas, the grade is following along bedding. For example, here it follows along bedding, and as you go slice down, you can see, for example, here there's a wedge that is bounded by bedding form surfaces on either side, and also the S2. As you move backwards and forwards, you'll be able to see this pattern. Just going to put it on thick section so that we can actually observe this as you slice up and down the fold plunge, the F2 fold plunge. And you can see a wedge here, and you'll notice that these grades terminate laterally against S2 as well. So the lateral extent of these veins, I don't show the veins, but these are the grades within the vein, the stopes that were mined from sigma. The enveloping surface of those veins cannot be determined from the vein orientations themselves. So you can measure them all you like in the stopes as well as in the core, and you will not be able to understand how far they extend laterally, because that outer enveloping surface of the veins are dependent on the first order controls, which are the bedding and the schistosity. Now, I'd just like to remind you that the veins that are formed in the Sigma and Lamarck deposit, they have a completely different symmetry compared to the bedding and the schistosity. So they don't intersect in this direction, in the down plunge direction. They actually intersect horizontally. So it's very confusing by just looking at the veins and trying to understand their three-dimensional extents. You cannot work it out from just the veins.